My name's Grady Mathews, and I was really good friends with Bill Weenie Beenie Staton. I met him in the early 60s, I think it was early 60s, at his place in Arlington, Virginia. And anyway, it was an all-night action joint, and all the best players in the world made a visit there. And I had a perfect deal with Bill. He and his partner Charlie Devalliere would give me action, or they would stake me, or they'd stake somebody to play me, or they'd loan me money to get out of town if I had a bad trip.
Yeah.
So it was the best deal a pool player could ask for. And Bill had a few tournaments, and he was quite a good representative and spokesperson for our great sport. He was on the Today Show, and he did exhibitions abroad, and he did a lot of wonderful things. And anyway, I always respected and liked him, and he was a tough guy to match up with. He was smart, and he made good games and so on. So anyway, looking back, I don't think I ever beat him. Of course, he wouldn't play me even, so I spotted him a little too much. And so he probably beat me out of $15,000 in 4 or 5 plays. And
you're still friends?
Oh yeah, we're still friends. Why would I hate somebody?
Yeah.
You lose, you lose.
Right.
Anyway, I learned a lot from Bill because he was always a statesman, a real ambassador for the sport, and a true Southern gentleman. He was a good family man, and he behaved himself at all times. And we talked strategy sometimes, and sometimes he bet on me, and sometimes I bet on him. And we had a lot of fun. It was just an honor and a pleasure to know him and to be around him. And anyway,
tell me about some of the tournaments over there. Some of the play at the Jack and Jill.
Well, I remember one time he had a tournament where the finals was a 10 ahead, and that's a long session, and Petey Fusco won it. I don't remember who he was playing in the finals, but he had 2 tournament tables and a pretty nice little tournament room. And anyway, he always kept the equipment up, and back then the prize money wasn't very good in any tournaments, and they only had 2 or 3 tournaments a year anyway, so I don't remember that much about them because I was always a gambler more than a tournament player. And Bill, like me, realized that when you gamble with somebody, you only had to beat one individual, and you had some say-so in when you played and how much you bet and so on, and you could make a few mistakes and maybe still win. Tournaments, you have to be 8 or 10 world champions for small money, and it just is not conducive to feeding a family.
Right.
So anyway.
Have you made your living on pool?
Yeah, that's all I ever did. And I'm proud of that, and I'm one of the few guys that did that. I never drank or took drugs, and neither did Bill, and I always respected, to me, the real heroes are the men and women who raise families and do what they're supposed to, not the people that go out and get in trouble all the time. Anyway, I sought Bill's advice on a number of occasions, and he was always forthcoming, with some good help for me. So, because I knew that he knew the pool room business and he knew the gambling racket. It's not a racket; gambling is a business if you make a living at it, like I did. And I didn't do as well as your dad at it, though. He was better at it than I was. He had patience, and he had that Southern charm, and he'd rob you in a nice way out of your money. So that's the best way I know how to put it. So, anyway, that's about the extent of everything. Except I'm proud of Bill for starting a scholarship for young pool players. I mean, that's a remarkable thing. Randy and I, since we only live 3.5 hours away from Myrtle Beach, we went to the wake, and I remember that most proudly posted was his induction into the Hall of Fame poster, and that meant a lot to me because I've been a one-pocket lover all my life, and of course Bill excelled at one pocket. That was his best game, and to have that occupy the most prominent place when you consider all of his many other achievements, that's really special. So, anyway, you guys are a special family, and thank you for coming this year, and that's about all I have to say.
Yeah. So is one pocket your favorite game too?
Yeah, I won 4 world championships at it, and didn't pay very much, but got me a little work, so I got by.
Tell me about the gambling days.
Oh, Lord, it's
Gambling
hard.
as a business.
Well, guys like me, see, even going back to the 70s, the cheapest I ever liked to play was $500 a game. Every game, $500 or more. And your dad was the same way. He wouldn't play cheap unless he was going to lose on purpose. If you have to play cheap, you might as well just lose on purpose and make that be advertising. So your dad taught me one valuable thing too, and that was that even if you were short on money, you'd never let anybody know it. And you come to be known as a person who has money all the time, is a nice guy, and will play a reasonable amount of time and will give you a fair game. And if you can do those things, then people want to play you. So anyway, that's about the extent of it.
Tell me about the Johnston City adventures.
Well, the Johnston City tournament was started in '61. That was won by Johnny Beavis that year. It ran 8 or 9 years, and the Stardust tournament ran about the same amount of time, but it didn't start till '68 or '69, I think. I might be off a year or two with the direction on the Stardust ones, but anyway, they were promoted by the Jansco Brothers, George and Paulie, and they were kind of thieves, I guess you might say. There was a saying about them that Georgie would steal your eyeball, Paulie told you look great without it. So anyway, the tournaments were 3 weeks long. And anyway, they owned, in Johnston City, they owned the golf course, the nightclub, the pool facility, the bar. The only thing they didn't own was a motel, and they were in with that. And by the time the tournament was over, they had pretty much all the money.
Right.
So, and the tournaments in Vegas were wonderful. They were upstairs at the Stardust, and the rooms were $10 a day, and there was nonstop gambling activity. And I have nothing but special memories from those days. I only went to Johnston City 1 year, though, because in those days, if you were a young up-and-coming player like I was then, you didn't want your picture taken. So if you did well in the tournament, they took your picture. Then you go into a place and somebody would say, oh, I seen your picture last week in the magazine. I don't want to play you. And so it would knock your action. So anyway, I went the 1 year is all, and I beat 5 or 6 of the best players in the world, and I only won like $2,500. So that was just a bad deal for me.
How much would you win in a normal game when you're gambling?
Well,
in those days?
Those days were entirely different. I'd say a good win is 5,000 or 10,000 or more. And I've been lucky enough. I had a few wins pretty well up in the 5 figures. I never did have a win in the 6 figures. Your dad did. He won $1 million, if you recall, or and he paid taxes on that. So that's another thing I always liked about
that was the Clio?
Yeah, with Clio and Mobile, right. So anyway.
Yeah, Dad was honest. I don't know about $1 million, but he won some and he claimed it on taxes.
Well, I pay taxes. I can't afford to give the government a third of what I make because I barely scrape by some months. You know, I was a single dad for a lot of years, and I raised a family as a gambler at pool for the most part, and with no entitlements. I mean, no credit union, no pension plan, no insurance benefits. So I had to be on my toes. So I had to quit smoking 11 years ago, and I loved to smoke. So did your dad. You remember the days when Bill smoked?
I sure did. And then they told him he had emphysema, so I had to quit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I had to quit too. So I love smoking. It's cheaper and more enjoyable than marriage, except for my wife, my present wife, of course.
She right here. So it must have been rough raising kids on that income with all that ups
to me,
and downs.
I was able to, my wife tells me I was poor. She thinks I was poor. I never thought I was poor because we always had food on the table, something to drive, a decent place to stay, and we weren't in debt. I mean, some people that consider themselves rich owe a lot more money than I do.
Right.
So to me, just having those things and being a good parent, I was richer than I could ever have desired.
How many kids did you have?
2.
Yeah.
And some of these women who have multiple kids, I mean, I salute them. I mean, just wonderful what they do. I raised two and have no idea how I did it.
Oh, me too. I have one. That's enough. So
Right? How
I
old is
hear
yours?
you. 16. Yeah.
Well,
10 years.
See, he
For,
doesn't know.
yeah.
9 years.
Well, that's good enough.
It'll be 9 in March.
Awesome.
I don't know what happened to me. Something.
You're staking the wrong
No, I can
person
still
now.
see real well, and I'm physically fit for the most part. Although I'm a little game in the joints, and I got some kind of what is it? Arthritis? What is it
Yeah.
that I have sometimes up here?
It's just called old age, baby.
Okay, well, it sucks, whatever it is. So anyway,
So I asked if you made a living gambling still.
no, I probably lose money on an annual basis. Now I still play sometimes because I love it, but it's frustrating to. I mean, right now, even still, if I could resurrect my old skills, there'd be a lot of these current guys in trouble. But they
So
hardly
how
ever-
do you compare the new guys?
Well, they play better. They have, well, the equipment has improved, and there's a lot of nice pool rooms and clubs with perfect equipment. Like our place, we have great equipment, and everybody enjoys playing there. And
What's the name of your place?
it's called Grady's. as you
Grady's,
might
of course. Yes.
The longest match I ever played, 90
Yeah.
hours.
90?
90, and that's without taking artificial assistance.
Wow. So you stop to eat
Well, I have food sent to the table, and
and
I like
eat
to have
while
it
you're
cut up where I can eat with a fork.
and eat while you're
So
playing,
eat while
huh?
I'm playing, right?
Brady's
Unbelievable.
extremely health conscious, and so he walks or runs on a regular basis, and he's in better
That helps.
health conditions than 30-year-olds.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you
went out
look in
and ran
good
the
shape.
Snow here.
You did?
Yeah.
How much do you run?
Oh, not that much. Here, 3 miles maybe.
3 miles. Goodness gracious, I can't even do that now without snow.
Well, you look pretty fit. You could probably
I'm not.
do it if you started
I gotta start. Yeah.
with. But
Yeah.
your dad and I were smart enough that we knew that if we played a long-winded player like Flyboy that just
Yeah.
got ducked into the hole,
Right.
we tried to not play until the other guy had been up at least 24 hours. And
Right.
we had just gotten
Tire
out of
him
bed.
out.
So now when you hit that 40 and 50 hour mark and 60 hour mark, the other guy would be tired, And